Have you ever wondered how ancient civilizations connected with their gods? What secrets lie behind the grand temples of Egypt, where priests performed daily rituals to sustain the universe? What mysterious practices ensured a pharaoh's afterlife or guided everyday Egyptians through life's uncertainties? Dive into the fascinating world of ancient Egyptian religion, where divine kingship, temple rituals, magic beliefs, and elaborate funerary practices form the backbone of a society deeply intertwined with the spiritual realm. Discover the rituals, gods, and sacred traditions that shaped one of history's most intriguing cultures. In the heart of ancient Egypt, religion wasn't just a separate part of life, it was life itself. So intertwined were the beliefs and practices with everyday existence that the Egyptians didn't even have a word for religion as we know it. Their faith was woven into the very fabric of their culture, creating a seamless blend of the human and divine realms. Nature itself was divine, with each element and phenomenon personified by deities who controlled the ebb and flow of the world. From the life-giving Nile, personified as Hapi, to the mysteries of death and the afterlife guarded by Osiris, every aspect of existence was a dance of divine forces. The gods were many and varied, each with a distinct personality and domain. There was Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification and the afterlife, guiding souls through the realm of the dead. Horus, with the head of a falcon, symbolized kingship and the sky, watching over the pharaohs and the people. And Isis, the mother goddess, epitomized magic, motherhood, and the protection of the family. But the gods were not static. They evolved over time, reflecting changes in society and the natural world. For instance, Amun, originally a local god, rose to prominence and merged with Ra to become Amun-Ra, embodying both hidden and visible power. This fluidity allowed the religion to adapt and grow, embracing new deities and even deified humans like the wise architect Amenhotep. Egyptians saw their gods as mysterious and multifaceted, often depicted with symbolic imagery rather than literal representations. A god might appear as an animal, a human, or a combination of both, each form highlighting different aspects of their divine nature. For instance, Thoth, the god of wisdom, could be shown as an ibis, a baboon, or a man with the head of an ibis, each symbol emphasizing his intellect and connection to the moon. The relationships among the gods were as complex as the forces they represented. They formed family triads, like Osiris, Isis, and their son Horus, embodying the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Larger groups like the Aeneid of Heliopolis brought together 9 deities to tell the story of creation and the rule of the cosmos. Syncretism, the blending of gods, was common, reflecting the interconnectedness of divine powers. Amun-Ra is one such example, where the hidden god of Thebes merged with the sun god to become a powerful symbol of divine kingship and cosmic order. These combinations showed the Egyptians' deep understanding of the unity underlying the diverse natural forces they worshipped. Central to this divine system was the concept of Maat. More than just a goddess, Maat represented truth, justice, and the cosmic order that the gods and humans alike strove to maintain. Without Maat, the world would descend into chaos, making her the linchpin of both the cosmic and social order. Time itself was viewed through the lens of Maat, with the linear flow of years punctuated by cyclical events that renewed the world, like the annual flooding of the Nile or the daily journey of the sun. This cyclical renewal was essential for sustaining life and harmony, echoing the original act of creation each day and each season. The Egyptian universe was a layered and intricate realm. The earth, flat and solid, was the domain of Geb, while above arched the sky goddess Nut, separated by Shu, the god of the air. Beneath this lay the mysterious Duat, the underworld where souls traveled in their quest for rebirth. Beyond all was the infinite expanse of Nu, the primordial waters from which creation sprang. In this rich tapestry of gods and divine forces, the pharaoh stood as a living embodiment of divine authority. This unique figure was both a mortal and god, bridging the earthly and the divine. Though the Egyptians recognized the pharaoh's human frailties, they believed that the power of kingship itself was divine, making the pharaoh a god by virtue of his office. He was the linchpin in maintaining Maat, the cosmic order, by ensuring justice and harmony within society and performing rituals to sustain the gods. The pharaoh was deeply connected with various deities, embodying their qualities and roles. He was seen as the earthly incarnation of Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship, and the son of Ra, the sun god who ruled the heavens as the pharaoh ruled the earth. By the time of the New Kingdom, he was also associated with Amun, the supreme force in the universe. In life, the pharaoh's actions and decisions were crucial in keeping the gods pleased and the natural order intact. Temples across Egypt stood as monuments to his role, where priests performed daily rituals to honor the gods and maintain their favor. When a pharaoh passed away, he was believed to transform into a fully divine being. This transformation linked him with Ra, and he also became associated with Osiris, the god of death and rebirth. The mortuary temples built for deceased pharaohs were not just memorials, but places of worship, where the dead king was revered as a god. The beliefs about the afterlife were a central part of this divine connection. Egyptians held a profound faith in the afterlife, envisioning it as a continuation of the earthly journey in a more divine realm. Each person possessed a ka, or life force, which departed the body at death but needed sustenance to endure. The ka relied on offerings of food and drink, whose spiritual essence it consumed. Alongside the ka was the ba, a unique set of spiritual characteristics that stayed with the body after death. Funeral rituals were essential to release the ba, allowing it to move freely and eventually reunite with the ka, to form an ak, an immortal soul. The body itself had to be preserved because the ba was believed to return to it each night, receiving new life before emerging as an ak in the morning. This belief underpinned the meticulous mummification practices and the construction of elaborate tombs, ensuring that the deceased could journey safely into the afterlife. In the early days, it was believed that the deceased pharaoh ascended to the stars, dwelling among the gods. Over time, this belief evolved and the pharaoh became closely linked with the daily rebirth of Ra and the underworld realm of Osiris. By the New Kingdom, the journey through the afterlife was seen as fraught with challenges. The soul had to navigate the Duat, a treacherous underworld filled with supernatural dangers, before facing the final judgment. This judgment, known as the Weighing of the Heart, was presided over by Osiris and the assessors of Ma'at. The heart of the deceased, symbolizing their actions in life, was weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of truth and justice. If the heart was lighter than the feather, the soul was deemed worthy and united with its ka and ba to become an ak. The ak could then dwell in the lush, verdant realm of Osiris, or join Ra on his daily journey across the sky. As time passed, belief about the afterlife grew more complex. It was thought that the ak could even return to the world of the living, influencing events through its magical presence. This dynamic view of the afterlife reflected the Egyptians' deep connection with their gods and their enduring quest to harmonize the human and divine. Temples were at the heart of Egyptian society, existing from the dawn of their history and spreading across most towns by the height of the civilization. These temples served two primary purposes: honoring deceased pharaohs and venerating patron gods. Despite this distinction, the roles often overlap due to the intertwining nature of divinity and kingship. Unlike modern places of worship, these temples were not meant for the general public. Instead, they housed physical representations of gods, which were tended to by priests through rituals and offerings believed to sustain the gods, who in turn maintained the universe. Pharaohs, as part of their divine duty, frequently expanded temples, leading to their enormous sizes. While some gods did not have dedicated temples, household gods received popular veneration. Early temples were simple structures, but they evolved into more elaborate stone buildings over time. By the New Kingdom, a standard temple layout had developed, featuring a central processional way leading through various courts and halls to the sanctuary. Access to the sanctuary was highly restricted, reserved for the pharaoh and high-ranking priests. The temple complex included not only the main building, but also workshops, storage areas, and libraries that served as the centers of learning. Theoretically, the pharaoh was responsible for performing temple rituals, but in practice, priests usually carried out these duties. Initially, there was no distinct priestly class. Government officials served as priests part-time. This changed in the New Kingdom, where a professional priesthood became widespread. Temples became significant economic centers, employing thousands of people, from priests and musicians to artisans and farmers working on temple estates. State religious practices included both temple rituals for deities and ceremonies related to divine kingship, such as coronations and the Sed festival, a ritual renewal of the pharaoh's strength. Daily temple rituals involved presenting offerings to the gods, with the most common being the morning offering ceremony, where the god's statue was washed, anointed, and dressed before receiving offerings. These offerings, after their spiritual essence was consumed by the god, were distributed among the priests. Annual festivals often included elaborate activities like reenactments of myths or symbolic acts to destroy chaos. Important festivals involved public processions where the god's image was carried out to visit other significant sites, allowing commoners to witness and participate in the celebrations. Animal worship was another aspect of Egyptian religious life, where certain animals were seen as manifestations of the gods. These animals were selected for their sacred markings and were worshipped throughout their lives. Over time, the practice of mummifying animals as offerings to gods became common, with millions of mummified animals buried at temple sites. Worshippers paid priests to mummify animals, which were then buried near the god's cult center. Oracles were used to seek guidance from the gods, with questions posed to divine images during processions. The movements of these images or the behavior of cult animals were interpreted as the gods' responses. These practices gave priests considerable influence as interpreters of divine will. Outside the state cults, lay people had their own religious practices, focusing on everyday life. These included ceremonies for life transitions like birth and death, the interpretation of dreams as divine messages, and the use of magical rituals to influence events. Personal piety became more prominent in the New Kingdom, with individuals praying to gods, offering goods, and seeking divine intervention in their lives. Temples and smaller local chapels were venues for these private prayers and offerings. Magic, or Heka, was an integral part of Egyptian religion, seen as a natural force used by gods and humans alike to influence events. Priests, especially lector priests, were regarded as experts in magic, often working outside temples to provide magical services. Everyday magic involved written or spoken incantations and rituals, invoking gods to act on behalf of individuals. Funerary practices were crucial for ensuring the soul's survival. Mummification preserved the body, believed necessary for the afterlife, while rituals like the opening of the mouth ceremony restored the deceased's senses. Tombs contain various items for use in the afterlife, including statues, amulets, and texts for protection against spiritual dangers. These practices evolved over time, reflecting the Egyptians' enduring belief in the continuity of life after death. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the spiritual world of ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might be intrigued by the mysteries of the past. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating content on history, culture, and the wonders of ancient civilizations.